from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer. With boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners, wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection, and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station, New Era, TT3 Net Radio.
Do I walk to the valley of the shadow of death? I will fear no evil. One person in my life, me a ill. Rastafari. Though some people wanna pat me down and see me as a black boy rise to the different price, so I take my merchandise. It can't work, guys. So all of you people who out there, and you know you got the enemies and the plain frenemies, them just send them one penny way. Watch your enemies in the eye when they try to pull it down and take your merchandise. Look them in the eye and say this: no one can take blessings from me. Tell them it out flat. No one can take blessings from me. No one can take blessings from me. Yeah, no one can take blessings from me. Hold on. When it come to me blessing, there's no compromise. Make sure it locks, stock, and synchronized. Never believe that one day it would arise. When Father God would open up my eyes, put me on a chair, get to realize that when a black man in start to rise, the one black brother will take the prize. Give some the talent and the merchandise. That's because them wolf in a sheep disguise. Yeah, so none of them can take the prize. Yeah, when me hear Rastafari, thank God he is higher than the high. So no one can take blessings from me. No one can take blessings from me. Yeah, no one can take blessings from me. No one can take blessings from me. Hold on. Now let me talk it briefly and prompt. I employ the critics every week and month. If it was not for me, they would not be rampant. I make them stampede like elephant. So wait, let me give the critic it blunt. Every critic call their mother's front. I will talk what I say and say what I want. You think that this talent come here by a son? If Father God to bless me with it back and front. So on me first year, you want me to flunk. You cut off me neck and show me in your trunk. Yo, blessing is still coming on. So what me saying? No one can take blessings from me. No one can take blessings mention me. No, because I've been blessed by the Almighty. Yeah, no one. You know why some of them jealous me when me rise? Yeah, this. Face to face, man,
wake up, rise up. It's the Net Radio Breakfast Show. Bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
Though some people want to pat me down and see me as a black boy rise.
All right, everybody, good morning to you.
Can't walk, guys. So all of you people.
So true. Nobody can take your blessings from you. I want to say a very special good morning to you wherever you may be. Trinidad, Tobago, neighbors in the Caribbean, friends who are streaming all around the globe. A very special good Monday morning to you. Yeah. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Are you ready for all the challenges that will be coming your way this week? As always, I want to say much thanks to the Heavenly Father for bringing us together for another day. Everything that we do, dear God, let it be a blessing on to you. People, we welcome you to New Era TT Radio, Net Radio. The heartbeat of the Caribbean. This is where we take you above and beyond. I'm yours truly, Sir Charles, in your company. And of course, together with our entire team. And this is the best space to be Monday to Friday. So I want to take the opportunity, and welcome everybody. This is the Get Up and Go. Welcome.
Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The breakfast show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line, let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Good vibes rolling through the air. The breakfast show, energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles or your morning drink.
Good morning, and welcome to the Breakfast Show, the beginning of the work week this Monday morning. Wherever you're listening to us across the planet, welcome. And of course, a big welcome and good morning to my co-host, Wendell and St. Charles. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, guys.
Yeah, morning, Richard. Morning, Charles. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe. My phone states that. Being here, be happy to be in the land of the living. Condolences, of course, to those who would have lost loved ones, including a very good friend of mine, someone who supported me especially a lot during my stint as chairman of Downtown Carnival. Gerard Weeks, he was the leader of Kinetic Mass. He played King of Carnival for many years. He was head of the TTCBA at one point in time. He, along with Ross and Gabriel, they were very good to the Downtown Carnival Committee during Mayor Timke's time and my stint as chairman. And he passed away over the weekend. And I saw that on Facebook. I was shocked because I didn't even know that Gerard would have been ailing or anything like that. Of course, his last, I think Peter Blood put up Peter Blood or Ian Eligo put up a post of him playing King of Carnival just recently in Barbados. And Barbados Mass was not too long ago, Richard, not so? I think Barbados Carnival was pretty recent, Well, I'm not hearing Richard.
Yeah, you probably just
Yeah.
I think somebody put up a post. Somebody told me that it's not posting that he died what he loved doing. I think it was a heart attack. It was a heart attack.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I heard. And that he was actually playing mass.
I had
playing a costume. Like he had a costume on and collapsed or something like that.
Oh, well, it might have been that carnival.
I don't know. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not.
Right, because Ian Eligo had put him up playing mass and said his last moment, But he really was a good person. He really was a great person, and a great mass man, and easy to get along with, He played football, of course, too. I knew him from way back in the days. I think he was part of the Over the Hill Boys group or something. So But it was very sad reading that over the weekend. So condolences to the Mars fraternity and, of course, to the Weeks family on the passing of Gerard Weeks.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
That was a shocker, I think, over the weekend for a lot
Yeah,
of people.
it was indeed. Because even Rosalind Gabriel messaged me. So it was tough to deal with. Of course, this is all part of life, the things that we face in times, and a lot of people dying of sudden heart attacks. I find now, that's happening a lot. It's almost like if you would hear people suffer heart attacks and then they would have maybe a few incidents like that, but it's almost like one and done now. Sad. But I do have some birthday greetings, so I'll do that quickly before you get into good news. Raul Bermuda is the breadfruit man. You all know him? He gives away, as a matter of fact, today he's 72 years old. He's giving away 72 breadfruit trees today. He gives them away most times. You understand?
And where he located?
He posted, where he's going to do it, between up to 6 p.m. today, he's going to be giving away 72 breadfruit trees.
All right.
I'll find out and share it with you all. Salvatore Trancoso, who is, that's not his name, but I think I know who it is. He also listens to us. Wayne Ramsey, my good friend from Fort Lauderdale. Wayne, happy birthday today. Today's your birthday.
Oh, today's his birthday. Happy birthday.
Yeah, he messages us every single morning.
Happy birthday, Raul.
Yeah. Gia Braffett, Rodasha David, Randall Mall, who also went to school with us back in the day. He was a little ahead of us. So when you would remember Randall Mall too, he's celebrating his birthday today. But yesterday, August 17th, I have to do some belated birthday greetings because yesterday was David Muhammad's birthday. Our very good friend, David Muhammad, celebrated his birthday yesterday. And it would have also been the birthday of the last Prime Minister Patrick Manning. He would have also celebrated his birthday yesterday. And Barrington Skippy Thomas, believe it or not, birthday was also yesterday.
Yeah, so how long I haven't heard that name? How long I haven't spoken to Skippy?
Yeah. I know.
Happy birthday, Skippy. Yesterday was also the birthday of my cousin's husband, Amanda. Damien's birthday was yesterday. Okay. Happy belated birthday, Damien.
So belated birthday greetings and birthday greetings to all of Edwin.
Let me send a birthday greeting as in between here. My second grandchild, Jason. Oh Lord, he's a bundle of energy. He is celebrating his birthday today. So I want to wish Jason a happy birthday. And my first grandchild will be celebrating his birthday on Wednesday, in the reverse. Yeah, so the first one celebrating second. So the JC on today and of course Nikolai on Wednesday. Happy birthday, guys.
All right. Great. Today, of course, is August 18th, 2025. All right. So Richard will go into good news and then we could start this program with some crazy announcements over the weekend. My God.
No more hide out to me like a unicorn. Let them keep them on in a taking back. They go come on down when you see them. So this is come when you're ready. Ready when you're ready, man, ready to go down. There's a vibe in the system every time into this steel fun. Come on, join in line, grab your bottle and spoon. There's a party in the house.
My name is Jaden Adrian. I wrote 27 CSEC subjects and I got 21 grade 1s and 6 grade 2s. Right now, I'm feeling very fulfilled because that's all I've been working for the past 2 years. So I couldn't have settled for anything less, given the hard work and all the nights I put in. So that's how I feel right now. So the main reason I did 27 subjects was to achieve the scholarship from the government so I can study abroad because I want to be given the best services. I know Guyana has the best, but also overseas. And secondly, because I am going to the university over there, I want to tune myself or acquaint myself with the schedule and the level of work you would expect at that level.
Is there a particular career path you have in mind or studies?
Yes, I want to follow the path of my father and my grandfather, where I become a mechanical engineer. But that's subject to change. I also like aeronautics.
So we gave you two good news there. One was the Independence Day parade, which was full of joy. Independence Day parade. I don't know if it was last year's one.
It was, that was last year. That was
full of joy, and it brings a smile to your face, basically. And the
success of the young Guyanese student.
Yeah, this Guyanese student. 27 subjects, but 21 ones and 6 twos. Isn't that incredible?
That is incredible.
Yeah, so, so celebrating that achievement, that Caribbean achievement, it's fantastic. So kudos to you. And so you're part of our good news for this morning. Yeah. So of course now we still have to greet people in our stream.
Yes, let me find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have lots of people chatting this morning already. Donna Ramlochan was last. Oh, let me just announce first. Raul Bermudez, as I say, he's celebrating his 72nd birthday today. He said he will be distributing at least 72 free breadfruit trees in the parking lot of the Brentwood Mall today from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Right? So he'll be distributing free breadfruit trees at the Brentwood Mall in Chaguanas today from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Happy birthday, Raul. I've met Raul on more than one occasion. We meet at Horizon sometimes on Mokorapa Road. That place that I love. They have some lovely artwork down there. Last time that's where I met him. So happy birthday, Raul. Very,
what is he giving away, breadfruit or the breadfruit trees?
No, the tree is giving away the breadfruit plants.
Oh, okay, okay.
And they don't grow very tall, The plants that Raul, I don't know, he developed a plant that bears breadfruit. Yeah, like miniature breadfruit, but not miniature already. But they don't grow as big and huge. Oh, a breadfruit plant is a huge plant, But the ones that Raul have, I don't think they grow very big, and they bear. So let's do the greetings. Donna Ramlochan came in at 8:02 p.m. last night, but she did say good morning. So I guess she made sure that she said good morning from last night. Suzanne Jessup also said happy day, good morning to Charles, Richard, and Wendell. Anthony Tinto says blessings, guidance, and protection over all. Felix Gozo. So Anthony Tinto was the first one this morning, actually, at 12. What is it? 12:04. Felix Gozo said good morning. Brennan Smith also says good morning. Valerie Mendoza, who's probably still out there in Orlando, Florida. Eva Smith says good morning, Richard, Wendell, and St. Charles. Boy Bidesi from Debe says good morning. Marcia Rock from Orlando, Florida. Odell Guy from Sangre Grande. Ann Noel says good morning, Wendell, Richard, and St. Charles. I am back after a few days away. She is from Oshawa, Ontario. Pearl Cordis and Stacey Ann from Brazil Village. Sherwin and Juliet Kerr from Arima.
Good morning, Sherwin and Juliet.
Wendy Ann and Frank James from Arangwes. Margaret Thomas says good morning. Marlon Motley from North Valsain.
Morning, Marlon.
Cheryl Johnson from Malabarima, who also had a birthday over the weekend, I think. Cheryl, belated birthday greeting, Cheryl Johnson.
Belated, but happy birthday, Cheryl.
Yeah. Patricia DeFore says good morning, all. Norris Ferguson from Buena Vista. Ellen Prescott. Jason Samuel, guys agreed on prayer over parade. Next question, good morning. Okay, Gary agreed on prayer over parade. What is that? I don't know what that's. We're speaking with Gary Griffith in the next hour. Gavin Frank says good morning. Robert Taylor from Fernandina Beach couldn't come sooner.
Robert.
Monday morning couldn't come sooner. I am like Mike Tyson. I am all ears. Carol Guevara from Chaguanas. Diane Payne also says good morning. Hazel Will, Melchizedek, Joyce Phillip, Rena Boodoo Jennings, CJ from New York. Hazel Will also says good morning again. Cathy Ann Charles from Cascade. Wayne Ramsey, who is the birthday boy today. Happy birthday, Wayne. Rena Boodoo Jennings says Jason's okay. Lambert Bruce from El Dorado, Alistair Hart from San Fernando, Kerwin Duke, Ozzy Molino, Slick Money Grip, Michael Cadet, Ambrose Brown from New York, Finney Gets Fit. Rhea Sampson says, have a good day, have a blessed day. David Ware says, was forwarded to me, died carrying a king costume in Calgary, Canada. Okay. Calgary Carnival in Canada on the road. Okay. That's how apparently the story with Jared Weeks. All right. He said that was, David Ware said that was forwarded to him. Shema Paul, Sankofa says bountiful graces. Wayne Ramsey says thank you guys for the birthday wishes. Where am I? Where am I, Richard? My phone just skipped all the way up. More games. Hey, where did I reach? Okay, Helen Prescott. Oh gosh, Richard. Shema Paul. Good morning to my grandson Cristiano. I love watching your program. He is 7 years old. Morgan says top of the morning, gentlemen, and the breakfast family. Diane Payne, well done, young man. That's the guy from Guyana. Alistair Hart Wendell, because they never came to the independence. Well, we'll discuss that a little later on. Ramnerish says marvelous, magnificent Monday. Lester Cragwell says, good morning, guys. The good news clip of the fire service band gives me a tabanka with the absence of the Independence Parade this year. It will give a lot of people a tabanka. I would like to know the 27 subjects. Okay, well, you'll have to get in touch with the young man to find out. Chavon Shogun says, good morning, blessings, have a blessed day.
Why would you want to know it? Obviously, it'll obviously be how many subjects are there. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he probably covered everything.
Yeah,
he probably covered everything. Yeah, with 27 subjects, he covered everything.
What subject did he leave out?
Yeah, true.
And he said that he was following his grandfather and his father or something like that.
But he was
as a mechanical engineer. He says he might do that, or he might choose aeronautical.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go aeronautical. So he said. Anthony Atwell says greetings from Marabella. K.W. John Leaf. Good morning, Wendell, Sir Charles and Richard, and also your other viewers. And James Kamau also says Grand Rising TNT. Is that it there, Richard?
Yep, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me say good morning to...
you have some greetings. Sorry, Sir Charles. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So let me say good morning to Kent, who was first off the blocks this morning on the WhatsApp. Also to Ms. Sampson, good day to you in San Fernando. To Patsy out in New Mexico, good morning to you. Colin in Caranage, Mr. Billy out in Powder Magazine, Captain Ron in Orlando, Oliver Manwaring, good day to you. Mahi out there in Ohio, to Zena out here in Arima, to Fifi out there in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, Joyce Phillips, Ababa. All right, Joyce Phillips, who's sending out birthday greetings to her daughter Crystal, who celebrated yesterday, and of course Mr. Beeps out there in PT Valley, good day, and Chris in Kirep. Good morning to all of you people on the chat, getting up early. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Of course, the big news over the weekend was the
before we got into the cancellation of the independence thing, which is really going to be the subject of a lot of the show today. I just wanted to show this video, which also went viral, considering a woman who was arrested in Carney in a car. It was arrested. It was shown from different perspectives. You saw some people like in the distance watching her being arrested because she came out of the car and eventually he had her on the ground and he took off his helmet and stuff. And this is a video from her perspective of the stuff by the officer. It right now, I think it's subject of an investigation of the officer's actions by the TTPS.
Nothing happened
in terms of the incident. So, but this is some of it.
And you're gonna at me for?
Switch off the engine, please.
The engine off.
Switch off, take off the seatbelt and exit the vehicle.
For what?
No, exit the vehicle, please.
For what?
Exit the vehicle, please.
For what?
Exit the vehicle.
For what?
Exit the vehicle.
For what?
Rest your hands on top of the vehicle, please.
Why?
Rest your hands on top of the vehicle.
For what?
Rest both hands on the vehicle, please.
For what?
Rest your hands on top of the vehicle, please.
I look like I am?
Both hands on top of the vehicle, ma'am.
Well,
both hands on the vehicle. Turn around.
Don't touch me.
Turn around. Turn around.
Don't.
Hold on a sec, Richard. Was he pointing a gun at her?
Yes.
Or a taser? Is a gun?
It looked like a gun.
What for?
I don't. You could watch it again to see if it's a gun or not, but it looks like a gun to me.
Yeah. Put it again, Richard. Put it again.
And you're gonna at me for?
Switch off the engine, please.
The engine off.
Switch off, take off the seatbelt and exit the vehicle.
For what?
No, exit the vehicle, please.
For what?
Exit the vehicle, please.
For what?
Exit the vehicle.
For what?
Exit the vehicle.
For what?
Rest your hands on top of the vehicle, please.
Why?
Rest your hands on top of the vehicle.
For what?
Rest both hands on the vehicle, please.
For what?
Rest your hands on top of the vehicle, please.
I look like I am?
Both hands on top of the vehicle, ma'am.
Well,
both hands on the vehicle. Turn around.
Don't touch me.
Turn around. Turn around.
Don't.
It is a gun.
Yeah.
Could even said why you're pointing the gun at me.
Yeah, she said that. So that incident became viral. I think it was also, well, as I said, it had different perspectives, video perspectives of the incident. And some of it were people in traffic taping it and watching and saying, but what is he doing? Why is he, dealing with it like that? Of course, we don't know the backstory.
Right.
We don't know what the hell
It's
the backstory
missing parts.
Yeah, but apparently it went viral enough that it's the subject of a TTPS investigation into the actions of the officer.
He's a motorbike cop, obviously, based on how he dressed.
Yeah, a motorbike officer. So on the face of it, it does seem strange how aggressive he is about the interaction, to the point of pointing a gun. And because she's saying, I'm not armed. Why are you pointing a gun at me?
Yeah.
So it's strange. So of course, we don't know what the incident, what is the background, but it's very strange.
I give up. I bet I give up long time with the TTPS. Well, you know how I feel about the TTPS, right? Well, I give up long time. I give up. I have no confidence in the TTPS of Trinidad. TTPS. Let me not say of Trinidad, because TTPS means Trinidad. I have none. Zero. I hope never to have to interact with the TTPS ever again.
And well, the other video, of course, will be the subject of a lot of the discussion today. The cancellation of the Independence Day Parade and official functions for a day of prayer and reflection, which all the politicians love to pull that day out of the hat, boy.
Nothing like prayer.
Day of prayer and reflection.
Ain't nothing like prayer.
Just before we move on to it with the situation with the lady and the police officer there. As I said, we don't know the backstory, right? Yes, but if a police officer stops you and gives you a lawful instruction to come out of your vehicle, I think we have to comply. Not so?
Well, you have to first justify why they stopped you, Sir Charles.
You can ask why you're stopping me. It's nothing to say. Why are you stopping me?
Yeah, but you can ask that. But I think you have to comply also with the law of what the officer is telling
But when
you.
you're dealing with human beings, you're also supposed to be trained in de-escalating a situation.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with citizens. So you have to de-escalate. And he didn't, at least from the clip we have seen, it wasn't a de-escalation, it was an escalation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're pointing a gun at somebody, put yourself in that position, Sir Charles, and the officer's pointing a gun at you and say, get out of the vehicle.
My hands in the air and I out the vehicle.
Yeah. But you may think that, but your initial response may be, why are you stopping me and why are you pointing a gun at me?
No, I could ask that, yeah. But
which is what she did.
A police officer.
And then she eventually came out and she says, why?
Yeah.
And so there is a point at which you can query, because there is a responsibility on police officers to indicate to you, there is a constitutional requirement to indicate to you if you're being detained, why you're being detained.
Yes.
And so it's not just an acquiescence that citizens have to kowtow and bow to a police officer. There are certain constitutional lines. So if you're detaining me, you as a citizen have the right to know why you're being detained.
Yes.
So it's a very legitimate question.
Yeah.
So you have to understand what is the difference between standing up on the Constitution and 1, and 2, complying with the command.
Yeah, but if you're given an instruction by a police officer who is lawfully on duty, the citizen has to comply. I mean, you could complain after and that sort of thing.
But that's what people say. But if a gun is being pointed at you, there are many Trinidadians that will say, why are you pointing a gun at me? Exactly. You might be one of those docile ones, Sir Charles, that will just get out and say what you want, officer, how you want me to stand up, how far you want my legs spread. But it have others that will say, no, excuse me, why are you stopping me? Why are you pointing a gun in my face? There are many citizens that will say, why are you pointing a gun in my face? If you want me out of the vehicle, put down your gun.
Yeah.
But I think you can comply while, you know.
But Charles, but she based on the video that we see,
legal rights.
So Charles, based on the video we see, she was complying because she came out of the vehicle. She
put your hands on the can. She like she wasn't doing that part.
But he put away his gun and then grabbed at her. That's how the video ended, you know. Yeah. What would have caused that? Because clearly, if you're pointing a gun at someone, you feel that you're under threat. Why would you then put it away then?
Yeah. That would have to be the issue of why you're pointing a gun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe at that point in time,
Sir Charles, I want to hear no more. I want to hear no more from Sir Charles. He make an excuse for the police.
I'm not making an excuse for anybody.
Well, it sounds like you are, but we don't know the backstory to how the incident began, because there must have been I don't know, whatever it is to get to the point. We don't know.
Listen, if that story links with what some comments that I've read on a thread somewhere, because I didn't see that video, but I read some comments on a thread that it's very disturbing, and it includes racial profiling of this policeman racially profiling people in that particular area. That is what I read about that incident. I suspect it's the same incident. Okay, and it is very disturbing, the comments I read, right? Because most of the people who were commenting had East Indian names who were commenting about this officer racially profiling them. That's what I read about that story, and that is just as disturbing as when we read stories in America where white officers profiling black people. It is very disturbing.
But I mean,
okay, I'm not going in that direction. But
that's the direction the story went in.
Those things we don't know those things to be sure. People just jump on things because how they see things on social media, you know.
Well, I hear you, but I just telling you what I read. I don't know.
I think if the police pull you over and they say, come out your car, I mean, I see enough things that happen. If everything come out the car, they say, put your hand on your thing. You put your hand, I could ask, why are you arresting me? Why are you searching me? What is going on? But you comply.
Yeah, but it's very unusual, unless you find it's usual, Sir Charles, for a gun to be pointed at you, telling you to come out your car. That's not usual.
That's not usual. A
And if you
policeman?
find that is usual, you are willing to accept a lot.
Yeah.
But
well, as I said, we
that's
don't know
not usual. That is
would have
certainly
caused
something
it.
that I think plenty of people in this stream would say, excuse me, why are you pointing a gun at me?
If that all depends on what would have caused the police to pull you over in the first place, and none of us have that.
But we don't have that. But
Yes, but we are assuming that she was doing nothing wrong, right?
But what we do know is that it's the subject of a police investigation.
Well, yeah, well,
in terms of the actions of the officer,
but, you know,
so it
for your own
raised
safety.
So it raised enough red flags that it's the subject of an investigation. That's what we do know.
You know what I always tell people, and I can't see the chat while I'm talking, right? But you know what I always tell people, because I would imagine there are people who defending it. You know what I always tell them? Until it happens to you or a relative, hush. Let us say nothing. Until that abuse happens to you or a relative, unjustly, hush.
Yeah, but we don't know what happened, so we can't say it's unjust.
That's why I said
what the lady would have done. I don't think the
sure
policeman does run down car just like what the does run down car in the road.
So,
if she's well, we don't know the circumstances, and I suppose the investigative report will indicate what the issue is. Yeah. But on the face of it, it seems very unusual.
It seems like abuse.
It seems, yeah.
That's what it is.
Borderline abusive. Even though he's talking to her. He basically,
he's shouting at her. He wasn't talking to her. He was shouting at her.
Yeah.
You understand? But anyway,
let's go to the other video, because this was just one of the stories that was over the weekend. So I just felt we should play it and talk about it a little bit. But the more substantive issue was the issue of the cancellation of the Independence Day Parade and official functions, and substituted for that day that politicians like to whip out of the basket anytime they don't know what to do, a day of prayer and reflection. So yes, I said it. When they don't know what to do, just whip it out. Let's have a day of prayer and reflection, which nobody does, but well, I suppose some people pray, but most people say, let me go to the beach. And what you doing later? You're lying later, you go to the avenue. That's life.
So people be praying all the time, yeah.
Yeah, but people pray regardless. People pray regardless anyway. But this day of prayer and reflection that we like to pull out, nothing says to the world more to me than that. That is just me and my opinion. To the world country, one, you walk in the airport, you see all the prime ministers. To the world country. Two, day of prayer and reflection. That's number 2 on the list. But that's just me. But let's watch the video of this woman commenting on that issue of independence.
Okay.
This here is national pride, right? Being a patriot. A slap in the face of the nation. How you will go and cancel the Independence Day Parade? The fireworks, I understand. The fireworks, okay, no problem. Noise for the animals and the zoo and whatever. I understand that part. Right? This is not just an event. This is a symbol of our independence, our pride, our resilience as a people. The fact that we moved away from colonialism. We give so much to this country every day. Working, creating culture, representing globally, and we can't even get one day to stand up and wave our flag. When RJ was 3 years old, we would usually carry him higher to see fireworks, right? And before the fireworks, we would have the parade. And I remember my 3-year-old with a little flag waving, seeing all the servicemen passing with their drums dancing. It is what message is sending to the youth if we downplay Independence Day? How the younger generation supposed to understand what it even means to be a Trini to the bone? No parade, no pride. Are we just erasing history in real time? You tell me after the coup there was a parade. You can't be saying it's because of the state of emergency. Millions spending on other nonsense all year through. Prioritize our culture, our history. This is our history. This is not just our culture, it's our history. I am so disappointed. I am so peeved. No independence parade. What an insult. I all for prayers. Incorporate the prayers before the Independence Day parade. Incorporate the prayers after the Independence Day parade. Even do it for the national awards. You could pray anytime. We praying every day. Whisper prayer in the morning, whisper prayer at noon, whisper prayer at night. But this to me is a slap in the face of the nation. Isn't just about, I come back again because I really pissed. This isn't just about a parade. It's about visibility. It's about unity, tradition that we hold on to. You can't keep stripping us from a few national moments we have left and expect patriotism to survive. It's really a sad day.
I can't add to that except that they've given 3 reasons. I mean, everybody is in favor of the fireworks ban because we've been talking about that ad nauseum for years.
Well, I don't know. I know people talk about the fireworks ban, but I think they talk about more the community fireworks that takes place all over the place. But those coordinated. But those coordinated, yes, it does.
For community fireworks?
But I mean community fireworks. I mean people doing it in the backyard and whatever.
For independence? For other?
Yes, have that too.
Okay. Well, I've never experienced. I've never experienced it for during independence.
But I think people look forward to those fireworks that are coordinated by the state. Let's call it that. Whether it's in Arima, whether it's in Port of Spain, whether it's in San Fernando, people look forward to that celebration of your national identity from those fireworks.
Right. So
I have no problem with those fireworks. So I know that clear. I have no problem with those national coordinated fireworks. I think it's a celebration of the country, the country's identity, the country celebrating we are here, we are in this space called planet Earth, and we are a country deserving of recognition and achievements and whatever it is that you embody patriotism. And the parade, of course, is a connection to that.
Yeah.
But go on with the point you were making right
then. No, but I was just saying the issue of they've given the issue of the of fireworks, they've given the issue of a threat. I don't know what type of threat we're talking about now, because that day it's 15,000 armed forces out on parade. They all armed to the teeth. We have all the assets of the country in there. So it's probably the most protected space. So I don't know what the officials are afraid of. Maybe we don't know the threat. You understand? So I will give.
I hear you.
We'll give into that, and when we speak with Gary, we could get into that a little more.
Yeah, but then that whole threat issue, I find that whole threat issue now. If intelligence says there's a threat, and whatever the reason is, it's a substantive reason. I'm not saying it's not a substantive reason. But many times, politicians on both sides of the aisles use these vague things of threats to public security, etc., to achieve an end that is not substantiated by any facts. Because the police, the TTPS, are not going to come out and say there was no actual threat, we didn't give any intelligence. Okay? You're not going to say that.
Yes.
Okay? So let's go down the road and believe it. But there is a threat.
All right.
So there is a threat, and they said, so the intelligence agencies, which has to be the TTPS, or one of their arms, has said there is a threat, cancel the Independence Day parade. If there is a threat to public safety, there is a part of me that says it's even more of a reason to have your Independence parade. Because it should show you that we will not cower because of whatever threat, and we are sufficiently vested in the security agencies being able to make this safe and to show you that we have the power to make it safe.
Yeah. Well, Richard, we'll stick up in there before we go into the third reason, which is money, right? Because they gave that as an excuse too, right? that it's saving them $2-point-something million, right?
Did they say that, or was that?
Yeah, yes,
So was that not Indira Sajawan saying that?
Somebody said that. That was a third reason given, right?
I don't know if it was the state
If
saying
it was official, well,
I don't know if it was officially stated, if that's what I mean.
All right.
It may have been a speculative,
Right. So because I thinking about this thing whole weekend, and I'm saying, is it because the threat wasn't the public safety? The threat, I gather, was the public officials. Okay? That's how I read that thing. It was a threat to public officials. So the country itself wasn't under threat, but the officials were under threat. Because that's in keeping with the reason for the SOE being called to. That's all. When the Attorney General went to the Parliament and said that this place could have been decimated with a rocket launcher. So I gathered
the Commissioner of Police said it was neutralized, didn't he say that?
Well, we heard that after. I'm going in sequence.
Okay.
The AG, it was said that there was a threat to high officials, including the people in the judiciary. The AG went to the Parliament, said that the threat, he could have been, if they didn't deal with it, this place could have been, half of it could have been blown up with a rocket launcher. And then we heard from the Minister of Homeland Security that the threat was neutralized. We also heard from the Commissioner of Police that they neutralized the threat. Now they are now treating with the elements who did the threat, right? We heard all of that. Now we're hearing again about another threat on Independence Day. Is it then the threat was coming from within? Because we had the removal of the army chief and the reinstatement in some dubious circumstances. We also had the Commissioner of Prisons being sent on leave. Is it that the threat is from within? So that they don't... Yeah, that had to be about that. Richard, that is going through my mind. Because is it that they're afraid of the people standing around them with the guns? The people who are responsible now for protecting the country, is that where the threat is coming from? Tell us.
Well, but I mean, valid. How transparent can you be? But to me, there is an onus on you to be transparent to a certain degree about what the issues are. And I don't think the TTPS has made any statement regarding the Independence Day parade. You can clarify. I think they've said anything. The only thing we got was a missive, a letter, a media release that said it. I don't know. I think there was a minister trying to defend it. Now, part of the problem is that, what people see is everything. People judge. People judge all the time. The opposition, who are now the government, has had an inexcusable, in my opinion, an excusable MO of not attending Independence Day celebrations when the PNM was in power, which I always had a problem with.
Yes.
Because to me, Independence Day celebrations are about the country. It's not about the PNM holding it. It's not about the UNC holding it. It's about the country celebrating itself. Okay? So that's what it should be. And we need to get over the nonsense and the political toxicity and understand that you serve the country. So I always had a problem when they did not attend. But the opposition, by deliberately not attending previous Independence Day celebrations, feeds into a narrative that indicates that they don't see this as being that important. Because it feeds into that narrative. Because you have avoided it for many years, because the PNM was in power, presumably. I don't know what their reasoning was. Because they never articulated, they just didn't attend and didn't give any explanations. And so it feeds into a narrative where people will say, well, you were never vested in it anyway, because you never attended. You never saw it as country.
Yeah.
You always saw it as political.
All right, guys, we're way behind on everything this morning. So let's see if we can probably touch the headlines briefly and then get the morning poll now.
Yeah, we are way behind. We have done a different program today, but that's all right. That happens sometimes. That's not such a bad thing, because this is an important topic, yeah. And as I said, in the next hour we'll get into it a little more with Gary Griffith. So you want to do headlines?
You could go. I have news there already.
Express footballer dies on field, and I think he's a soldier. He died while playing football. CPEP CEO takes legal action against Al-Rari. Run feast, and of course, TKR won their first game yesterday in a run feast. Over 400 runs were scored in 40 overs. PTO pairs set to compete in junior swimming championships. And Liam, the source says Liam Carrington, tragedy at Mayaro, missing laborer found dead in sea. Infant dies following birth at Center of Excellence Hotel. Well, I didn't see that news at all. All right, so those are all trending stories in today's Express.
All right, the news day for today, the main story, the main stories. Trade Minister meets with U.S. Congressman on tariffs. U.S. sends nuclear submarine and 4,000 troops to Caribbean. Cedros, drowning victims' body recovered. Fire Service welcomes halt to Independence Day parade. IDB opens call for presidents. Innovation Award. And so that's some of the main stories on the news. They over to the Guardian, Sir John.
All right, so TNT men, Venezuelan court en route to collect guns and drugs for local syndicate. Then there's a story of the lady that lost her baby at the Center of Excellence. 33-year-old dies while bathing at Mayaro. Young wants answers on Bisam wastewater plant litigation. The SAL shut down today for those people who will be affected. IRO welcomes National Day of Prayer. SDMS questions the timing. And sign, no hidden agenda behind parade cancellation.
All right, so we could take a few calls before we get to the morning poll. So the lines are now open.
Richard, because I'm using my phone, of course, I can't send a message on the poll, right? But the obvious poll will, of course, do you support the cancellation of the Independence Parade and activities surrounding it, I guess. Because there'll be no fireworks. We'll have to pray that day, as if we don't pray every day.
The lines are now open to 811315. 811315.
I have 80-something comments to try to catch up with. I won't. Because
any calls, Sir Charles?
Yeah, come again. Good morning to you, caller.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody. Richard. My boy Stephen.
Morning, Mr. Grant.
Morning, Mr. Grant.
Good morning, Mr. Watching all here. Anyhow, with this Independence Day parade, it can surprise me that the government suspended. Because when they was in opposition, 10 years, doing the communist Savannah thing. Years before that, they was doing the same thing. As a habit. But they started saving money. You saving money, but you have the biggest cabinet ever in the history of this country. All the boards, they overstaffing the boards on them. By 6 and 4 more persons. We are a board in PNM time about 7. Because I buy papers every day and I've been all the clipping here on the bed right now I lay down asleep. So they saving money one way.
And spend it the next week.
But they build up money. They know money in their child.
Thanks very much, Mr. Grant. Good to hear you this morning. Trin City, good morning.
Morning, Chalo. Morning, Wendell. Morning, Mr. Aguba Singh. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Patrick.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
You know, I was reading the papers and things, I see that the banking sector again was more interested with credit card, but he told me
Mr. Patrick, I'm glad you reminded me of that. Well, we'll have a guest from Republic Bank tomorrow, but in the next 3 days, Republic Bank dropping their forex to 2.5. Their credit card limit to 2,500 US.
That will be going across the border. What's this? All them banks will follow suit.
Well, there's only one more bank I think to do it. That's FCB. All the others gone down already.
What I say, people traveling and shopping and going for holiday with their family, boy. 2,500 US in the money.
Mm-hmm.
And people who are to shop online who are small business and things like that. A problem, because I could remember Mr. Barry Amar said that they have no forex to buy goods because they own people. So let me deal with that.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Patrick. Captain Ron, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Happy Monday. Listen, first of all, that thing, I'll be quick. With that police officer, that thing that you all played there, that police officer needs to be retrained and something needs to be done with him. Pulling a gun on somebody, and Sir Charles, let me tell you this. It's your rights to ask, why are you stopping me? Why are you put your gun on me? Why are you pointing it? That's what I would do. Even anywhere in the world, I will do that.
Yeah. But would you not comply with the instructions? Sorry? Also? Why? While you do that, you would not comply?
No, there are instructions if you tell me what I'm being stopped for. That's part of the law. All right, and it in Trinidad can be not that much different from the law in America where that is concerned. Not because you're a police officer, because you say jump high, I have to jump high just like that. You have to give me a reason why it is I'm doing all of this.
All right,
and
okay,
it's a shame that the Prime Minister,
Gary in the next hour.
I don't know what is she doing, and I think Wendell is correct. If there's a security problem with the military people, then deal with that. But to stop the Independence Parade. And I think there's something drastically wrong there. I think this is what you get when you said, when UNC win, everybody wins. This is what they're doing. They're doing anything they want now. Anyway, you guys have a good day.
Thanks, Captain Ron. Oh yes. I don't know, do you remember when Dr. Rowley was Prime Minister and he came to us, he came to the public and he said that there was a plot uncovered in the SSA with a pastor and the head of SSA and so on. And it had the potential to overthrow the government. All you remember that? All else forget, All else forget on how we dealt with that, and so on, and we never got to the bottom of that,
All right,
So
final call before the poll.
Is it that the same threat still there? Let us know.
Caller, good morning. All right, I think I lost her. All right, Zina, are you there? Okay, sorry about that. All right, Wendell, give the poll.
All right, so our poll today, Richard, go on. Our poll today, of course, I'm trying to catch up with the comments, is do you support the cancellation of the Independence Parade and the other activities surrounding? Okay? It's yes or no. Do you support the cancellation of Independence Day Parade and the other activities? Of course, there'll be a day of prayer. I don't know what form that's going to take. Is it that the same officials coming out and go to church somewhere or go in somewhere to pray? It tires me out, yes. I can't read all this chat now. Seeing some comments do that. If I had the power, I'd remove them, but I don't.
Yeah. So yes or no, people? Yes or no first, okay?
All right.
Do you support the cancellation of the Independence Day Parade and official functions? That's our poll for this morning. But at this point, we go to the 7 o'clock news. And of course, I'm ducking out because I'm heading out somewhere. But I'll see if I can rejoin. If I can't, you will have to do the poll. All right, so now.
We'll do the poll after, right? We'll do the poll after, right?
Okay. Yeah, but it's up and running. But over now to the 7 a.m. news.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio. I'm Derek. Finance Minister Devendranath Thakur says he will meet with the banking sector after Republic Bank announced another sharp cut to its US dollar credit card spending limit. From August 21st, the bank will reduce its maximum foreign spending limit per billing cycle by 50%, from US dollars $5,000 to $2,500. The restriction covers all overseas purchases and international online transactions, even when billed in TT. This is Republic Bank's third reduction since 2021, when the limit fell from $12,000 to $10,000, then to $5,000 in 2023. Other banks have also tightened spending. In November 2023, Scotiabank capped personal card limits at $2,000 and its Aero MasterCard Black at $5,000. Around the same time, RBC slashed limits from US $6,020 to $2,058. I don't want to comment on it yet. I am planning to meet with the banking sector to discuss the restrictions, Thakur said. President of the Fire Service Association, FSA Keon Guy, says there is a silver lining in the cancellation of this year's Independence Day parade and celebrations. Guy said while the fire service values engaging with the public, the parade puts a strain on its already limited resources. It allows us to keep all appliances at stations, ready to respond without compromise, he noted. He added that the service hopes to secure new fire appliances in the coming year, so the tradition can resume by 2026. The FSA has long complained about outdated equipment, with many trucks over 20 years old. Guy explained that the parade usually requires 125 to 150 officers, including male and female platoons, drivers, outriders, and the fire service band. Acting Chief Fire Officer Andy Hutchinson said the service accepts the government's decision, noting that funds will instead support essential needs. The traditional after-party will also be canceled. The Ministry of Homeland Security said the event was halted due to security concerns under the current state of emergency. The opposition is blasting government over the cancellation of this year's Independence Day parade. Opposition leader Penelope Beckles says citizens are bewildered by the decision, announced Friday, to scrap both the parade and national fireworks. Government cited security concerns under the state of emergency and financial considerations, instead planning a national day of prayer and reflection. Beckles called the cancellation an affront to independence and democracy, adding that the event is a source of national pride, especially for youth and the armed forces. She urged government to reconsider and explore scaled-down options instead of scrapping the celebration. Former ministers Amory Brown and Colin Imbert also criticized the move, calling it disappointing and unjustified. Senior counsel Larry Lalla questioned whether cost was really the reason, saying, "We need to dig deeper." The government, however, maintains that security advice guided its decision. Put down the illegal weapons. That's the warning from Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara following the killing of 2 bandits by a licensed firearm user in Santa Cruz on Friday morning. Reports say the 66-year-old firearm license holder shot and killed 1 bandit and his getaway driver, Ant, after they attempted to rob him of his vehicle. A 3rd suspect escaped. Guevara said the consequences of crime are grave and warned that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service will not relent in dismantling criminal networks. He also cautioned citizens to avoid spreading unverified information that could compromise the investigation. The commissioner reminded the public that every use of lethal force will be investigated with full transparency and urged criminals to surrender their weapons. He said a life of crime in Trinidad and Tobago is now a high-risk vocation, and it's better to hand in guns and become productive members of society. In some bizarre news, police are probing the death of a full-term baby boy born at the Center of Excellence on Saturday. Reports say a woman, who claimed she was unaware of her pregnancy, experienced severe pain and went to the bathroom, where security guards realized she was in labor. Her mother later took her to Mount Hope Women's Hospital with the newborn, but staff at the NICU found the baby unresponsive and declared him dead. Doctors noted the umbilical cord was around the baby's neck. The child weighed just over 3 kilos. Aruca police interviewed the mother, who said she had irregular menstrual cycles and didn't know she was pregnant. An autopsy will determine the cause of death. In international news, Special U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff said Sunday that Vladimir Putin agreed at his Alaska summit with President Donald Trump to let the U.S. and European allies offer Ukraine NATO-style security guarantees as part of a future peace deal. "We want a concession that the U.S. could offer Article 5-like protection," Witkoff told CNN, calling it game-changing. He added that Russia also pledged a legislative commitment not to seize more Ukrainian territory. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen welcomed the plan, saying a coalition of the willing was ready to share the burden. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked Washington, but said details remain unclear, stressing that guarantees must work in practice like NATO's Article 5. Witkoff said Trump shifted away from demanding an immediate ceasefire because of progress on broader peace terms. Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned Russia still faces consequences if a deal fails, but said sanctions now could hinder talks. Zelensky and European leaders meet Trump at the White House Monday to discuss next steps, including the unresolved issue of potential land swaps. And that's news at this time.
That was news now. Stay informed with Era TT Radio. Net Radio.
Your mid-morning just got better. Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Join me, Brother David Muhammad, every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio, Powerful Radio. Join me to hear knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Tuesdays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Wake up, rise up. It's the Net Radio Breakfast Show, bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
Así que tan solo hay momentos malos y todo pasa. Todo aquel que piense que esto nunca va a cambiar tiene que saber que no es así, que más tiempo buena cara y todo cambia. Ay, no hay que llorar, que la vida es un carnaval, es más bello vivir cantando. Ay, no hay que llorar, que la vida es un carnaval y las penas se van cantando.
Mornings just got better. You're locked into Net Radio Breakfast Show, fueling your day with the best music and real talk.
All right, people, so we are back inside here, the second hour, New Era TT Radio. Good to have you inside of the Breakfast Show. Remember, we stream all day, every day. And you can get us on New Era TT Radio. newera.com, New Era TT Radio on TuneIn, so you can get us on your Alexa and of course all your Google devices. And let me say good morning to the folks on M1E TV. And just to let you know that come September 1st, right, you will now be able to get us on Gael Caribbean. So please take note that from September the 1st, where you are getting us on this channel, you will have to go and look for us on Gael, all right? So we'll give you the numbers as we go along. So let's jump back inside the breakfast show. Let's pay some bills and come back.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Charmflair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Devantry tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charmflair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair. We do it all.
Finally, a line of baking products that caters for the gluten-free, cholesterol-free, egg-free, and dairy-free person, enriched with sesame, flax meal, and chia seeds. Also try our line of seasonings and spices that are ideal for diabetic, kidney, heart, colon, and hypertensive persons. Perfect for the whole family. Healthy O, the healthier way to go. Find it in a supermarket near you.
So we are back on the inside. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I got you there now.
You got me. All right, good.
So we are back on the inside.
All right. Well, we could get straight into the poll results now, because we had
and people Richard had to step out. So
yeah, I could actually write to Sir Charles because of the situation. I could write also too if you want help with writing. So let me try to go back to where the poll started. All right. So our poll this morning was, of course, do you support the cancellation of the Independence Day parade? Well, you're right. You go ahead and write. I'll scroll and call, right? Miguel Gonzalez said no. Rena Budu Jelen said no. Brent Hackshaw, yes. Marcia Rock, no. Sankofa said no. Diane Payne, no. Eva Smith, no. Joyce Phillip, no. Bernadette Yates, no. Susie B, no. Annie Bunyan just says good morning. Alice Sahad, no. Annie Bunyan also says no. Helen Prescott, no. Just a Nice Guy, no. Wendy Ann James, no. Andre Reno, no. Pearl Cordis, no. CJ from New York, no. Ram Naresh said no. Lloyd Cave, no. Ron DeSantis Jr., hell no. Kenwin Henry, yes. Michael Oliver, no. Where are we? Margaret Thomas, no. Coltich Finch, no. Slick Money Grip, no. Melchizedek, no. Curtis Patrick, no. Cheryl Henry, no. Hazel Will, no. Chris Keller, no. Shuma Paul, no. David Wes, he and Cheryl says no. Chevron Sugar, no for the parade. No for the parade. The vote is no. Boy Bidesi, no. Gregory Boyer, no. Josh P. Richardson, no. Carlisle Cupid, no. Magic, no. Trini Gets Fit, no. Eunice Dublin, that's a new name, no. Lennox Francois, no. Marlon Motley, no. Carol Guevara, hell no. And she played the little boy for us. Finbar Collins, not in support. So that's no. Kurt Hoop, 100% no. Kazim Mohammed, no. Larry Charles, no. Well, Carol, okay. I voted already. Beauty Culture says no. Diana Hamill, no. Anthony Atwell, no. Carl M. Jack, yes. Former policeman, he's supporting it. Okay. Supporting the cancellation. Maria Cellier, no. Mrs. R, no. Trini Gets Fit, no. And J97, no. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, I got some here also. So, bear with me here. Right, I'll just move around some stuff. Right. So, Ron DeSantis, you did not vote, right?
He voted already on this chat.
Oh, okay, right. So I'm starting with Black Pearl saying no. Freya Lashley says no. Miss Sampson says no. Captain Ron says no. Kurt Edwards, no. Mahi out here in Ohio says no. Anthony Williams, no. Zena says hell no. Fifi says no in Ethiopia. Judith Mount St. George says no. Joseph Clement says no. Frank in Aruka says no. And Archbishop Ashton Clark also says no. And Pauline says yes.
All right.
1, 2, 3 more no's. All right. And
so what you counted? You are count. Well, clearly the majority by far said no. But I thought should you count?
Yes,
Count and crumple, Sir Charles. Count and crumple.
Right. Okay. So we had 72 people voting on the poll anyway. That's why it's a record. To come, right?
All right.
And all the other people who came in now, I like Richard. I can't go back to it now, right?
No, you can't go back.
So we had 72 people on the poll today. 68 said no, and 4 persons said yes.
All right. 4 people
right.
said yes. 68 said all right. That's probably our greatest poll thus far. 72 is definitely the biggest number we've had in a poll so far. So a lot of people are passionate about this issue. And Beauty Culture, just to answer a question, the prisoners are being watched by prison officers, not the defense force. Because we confirmed that when we interviewed the Prison Officer Association guy, it's prison officers who are working to secure the prisoners wherever they are. All right? That's what we were told anyway. All right? So that's our poll for this morning. Of course, our guest, who should be, is he in backstage?
He's here already. He's been here very early. He's very prompt.
All right.
He's a little military man.
We could bring him in. We could bring him in one time. You know, military people always on time.
Let's go accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And on cue, a few moments later. A few moments later, after our pool and after all the bacchanal, comes former Minister of National Security, former Commissioner of Police, and former leader of the NTA, Gary Griffith. Morning, Gary.
Good morning. Good morning to your many listeners and viewers. What was the poll question again?
Our poll question was, are you in support of the cancellation of the parade, the Independence Day parade, and the other activities surrounding?
Okay.
We had as today a record number of people polling, 72. 68 of them said no, they are not in support of it, and 4 said yes, they are in support of it. What says you?
Well, that's a great indication, because I think your station is usually probably one of the most neutral. So most of your callers actually make decisions based on right and wrong and the data, not based on political affiliation. So that's a powerful statement there. It means somehow the government needs to do a lot more in their communication strategy to allow buy-in to the public to believe what has been happening. As I said, listen to certain comments by persons. It is unbelievable that people are so ignorant to understand the importance and the significance of our Independence Day. That signifies us not being controlled by any external forces. That gives us the right now to self-govern. That shows maturity at the ultimate level for any country. That is how significant independence is. But because people may be supportive of the government, they are trying to trivialize Independence Day by saying, I just saw fire trucks and army trucks traveling. That I said is ignorance at the highest level. People are upset about it, but that is what it is. It shows total stupidity. There are many countries that wish they could be independent, and the 100 plus that are, they signify that independence day in a very powerful manner, similar to, if not more, than what we do. So that concept of saying that it's not important, we can trivialize it just because the government has decided not to. That is stupidity at the highest level. Here, the political analysts in the Rampasad. Well, I think if TKR wins the CPL, she will praise the UNC for it. Or if they lose, she has never said anything against the UNC, and that is always the problem that we have. These people call themselves political analysts or political scientists. They are So for her to say that, well, it's probably because of costs and so forth. 2.6 million in a few months, when you should know we're going to spend about 20 times that amount for the opening of Carnival, where a couple hundred people will show up. So to say something as foolish as that, to say, well, we need to save $2 million, so let's cancel something to signify our independence as a nation to self-govern. And you are a political analyst. That is the quality and standard of a political analyst in this country. Now, having said all of that, the situation exists that if it is that the law enforcement agencies have stated that there's a clear and present danger, and they do not think they have the capacity to safeguard the security of citizens that are attending the parade and so forth, the state will be left with no choice, and therein lies the problem. So had I been in government and the intelligence agencies came forward with that, as a Minister of National Security, I would have to concur and move ahead with it. So it is a very unfortunate situation, but I think the state was left with no choice if that is exactly what it is that the intelligence agencies brought to the table.
Well, stick up in there, Gary, because you know why? I'm hearing you, and I'm saying if there is a credible threat, then fine, we have to deal with it. Whether it should result in the cancellation of the Independence Day parade, where, in my opinion, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, we have gathered in that space the most security that we could ever ask for in any one space. Is there a possibility then that the threat is from within?
Well, it is possible. We heard recently a situation with 28,000 rounds of ammunition unaccounted for, 556 from the Defense Force. And I really have to stick a pin in this one. If you recall, there was a Prime Minister and the most clueless Minister of National Security in our country's history. I'm not calling Fitzgerald Hines' name. They spent the last 3 years with audits, accusations, and lies about the police. When after all of this, not one round of ammunition was ever missing from the police, not one firearm was ever issued to a criminal element. But they spent all of their time on a fishing expedition to try to smear the police. And Keith Rowley and Fitzgerald Hines deserve to apologize to the police service now, because after 5 years, not one round of ammunition was missing. All rounds were accounted for. Not one firearm has ever been reported as being given to any questionable element. But you're seeing 28,000 rounds missing in the Defense Force, and you never had audits for that. But you decided to audit the police from now till kingdom come. So that is obviously what people should also remember. So because of this, with the 28,000 rounds missing, it could very well be the enemy within, and there is a concern. It could also be a number of different factors. It could be the concern that if all of these persons are housed in one specific area, there can be a concern of it affecting the safety and security of these dignitaries. Granted, however, it is the safest place to be, I would think, at any time in the country, at any time in the year, is Independence Day. That is when you have like 90% of all law enforcement persons armed to the teeth. But there's also that could also trigger the other factor that because of everybody assembling in one specific area, it allows breaches in security in other parts of the country. So there are so many different factors that we could just speculate because the intelligence agencies have not pinpointed and stated exactly what it is.
Well, and that's my concern. I guess that's most people concerned, Gary. The fact that we have had, all right, if we go back in history, we had the attempted coup of July 1990. Okay? Yeah. That was July 27, 1990. If I'm not mistaken, an Independence Day parade was held in that same year, just over a month after. Okay? We have had other incidents over the period of time. We've had the bombing of garbage bins. We've had so many incidents, including, if it's not last year, year before, where the former Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley, came to us and tell us there was a threat to overthrow, to change government in this country, when there was the SSA investigation, exposure, and all that. But so what possibly could be the threat now that could warrant this drastic measure? I can't believe that a government or Prime Minister is afraid of being booed. It happens. It happened before, it could happen again. You understand? So this can't be about your unpopularity because of the decisions you've made. Because you got an overwhelming mandate from this country by telling them you're going to do certain things. You've done some of those things. You've gone a little further. A lot of people are out of jobs, but you said that you're going to be fixing that. So what is this? What is the reason? What do you think could be the main reason? Let's ignore the security threat for just a moment. Let's put that aside. Let's deal with the other issues. The fireworks, we have had that debate for years. Okay, I don't think anybody will be against the removal of fireworks because of what they've done in certain communities. Although I agree with Richard that these firework displays on Independence, they are more structured. It's in a particular place. The one in the Savannah, of course, you two would have complained over the years, but still, I think the effect of it is minimal enough so that those things can go. Then we have heard this other preposterous thing about saving money. In light of the fact that we now have the largest cabinet, extended state boards and so on. So the thing can't be about money. Nobody could convince me it's about money. What is it that the threat, and again, I'm asking this again, is it then that the threat could be an internal threat?
Yeah, and you're correct on all points here. So the first thing is, as it pertains to money, that was the desperation by some people just to blindly say, listen, the government doesn't want the Independence Parade. We have to find a way to justify it. And that's why this political analyst decided to come with that statement. And she was quoted as saying that. You have over $50,000 million in our budget and $2 million to make sure we recognize one of the most important days every year for our country's history. And you're saying, well, it's a budget problem. Indira Rampersad, shame on you that you could actually use that as an excuse. So that is out of the window. That is totally ridiculous, because if that is the case, I tell you what's going to go down the road in this country with yet again the country being divided based on race and politics. People are going to question and see if they're going to spend a cent on Diwali and Eid and Christmas. It shouldn't go down that road. So that nonsense by Indira Rampersad and others on social media to support the government's decision, foolish. The other aspect of now, as it pertains to fireworks, I mean, I recall I was in Miami for the 4th of July, and the fireworks I was seeing there, just in residential areas, it made our firework display look like, remember nowadays when we were small, they had something called a starlight? And it was all over, but it was silent fireworks, by the way. So it's mostly silent, so you're not hearing it. And those are the things that could be done. We got to just change, we don't have to shut it down. Now, going back to the situation itself of the threat, I got 43 death threats, myself and my family, in my 3 years as Commissioner of Police, 43. I think the US President gets about 5 death threats per day. It does not mean that every time you get a threat, you're going to just shut down the country and cry, based on people crying wolf. Because that is sometimes exactly what they want, to destabilize the country. That's also a part of terrorism. So it can't be that every time you hear somebody say, listen, I want to do so and so, you hear that, and you say, oh my God, we press the panic button. It must not be that. I shudder to think that that is what this is. And I would believe that the intelligence agencies that I left, working closely with the SSA, Defense Force Intelligence, the SIU, the Special Branch, they are fully aware there's a difference with credible threats and incredible threats. So it can't be something that based on hearsay speculation. It has to be a clear and present danger that they believe is beyond their capacity to secure the dignitaries. And if that is the case, that is a serious indication that of we are in trouble, because just a few weeks ago they stated that the problem was neutralized. So if it was neutralized and now something else has popped up that is so alarming that we can have over 15,000 armed persons in one area, and we don't think that we have the capacity to still secure those persons, that is a clear and present danger way beyond even what 1990 was. And what makes it worse is that this has to be neutralized as quickly as possible, because, as I said, it's going to affect us not just locally with the fear factor internally, but regionally and internationally. You're speaking about trade, investment, tourism. You're hearing that a country can't even have a major event because there's a clear and present danger that there can be a terrorist plot or some assassination attempt or something. And then when you hear that you have a World Cup football game coming up with 5 times the amount of people that will be in the stadium just a mile away. So the last thing you want is for international agencies to start to press the panic button. We have to rectify it as quickly as possible and probably say, look, after the independence, it has been rectified, it has been cleared. Because you start going down to, people are going to start throwing things, Wendell. People are going to say, well, how you can have your Monday night forum and all of that. And I am not here to defend or support opposition or government. I'm just here from a national security perspective, law enforcement perspective. I will state categorically that had the intelligence agencies brought forward information to me as Minister of National Security, we will be left with no choice. If I was Commissioner of Police and we got that information, that will be my last decision to make a decision to say that we need to shut it down. Because when you do that, you basically have now admitted that we are not capable to secure the place, and it gives an indirect direction that the criminal elements have gotten the upper hand.
And that's another concern, Gary, because you get the impression from since Commissioner Guevara came into office that he has a different style and he's more hands-on and so on, right? Almost reminiscent of some of your days, right? But so you is it that we've thrown up our hands and given up because if you cancel an Independence Day parade because of a security threat, and as you said, where you have the most armed people in a particular area at that point in time, and you can't control that area, you can't control what happens in that area. Is it that we have given up to the criminal? Because we also heard this week also, over the last few days, of a direct threat to the Minister of Defense, Wayne Sturge.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a criminal attorney for years. I don't know that he has ever come under threat, at least not reported. Maybe he has gotten threats in the past. But all of a sudden, this issue of threats is not disturbing for our country.
Yeah, and again, this is not in any way to knock Guevara. Remember, he was middle management. As I said, the US president in the White House, they get this on a daily basis. Does he understand that these things, it can't be a situation that every time there's a concern, you're going to press the panic button to the ultimate. You're going to move straight to DEFCON 1. You're going to move straight to calling a state of emergency, martial law, lock down the country, shut down everything. I'm not saying that he's doing it, that is a knee-jerk approach and he's pressing the panic button and he's not being stable on it. But I'll give you a simple example, the situation with the prisons, taking everyone and moving them to Stobles Bay. I had the exact situation and I refused to allow the questionable elements in the prisons to win. And that is where we had that immediate lockdown. So I listened to politicians speaking. That lockdown we had in Building 13 was foolproof because we put that in, we shipped, because we having all of those certain questionable characters in the open. They gave them access to hundreds of prison officers, hundreds of prisoners. And when we put them in one area with a three-tiered approach of 2 police officers, 2 prison officers, 2 members of the defense force, nothing could have gone in or out. We had cameras in all of the different cells. None of them could communicate with each other. There were 12 of them, so each one had 1 hour sunlight every day. So it was locked down. As soon as I left, all hell broke loose, thanks to Old Fitzy again at Old McDonald Jacob. They moved the police, they moved the defense force. And now you're hearing that prison officers are the ones guarding the prisoners in Stobles Bay. But that was the problem in the first place, because the prison officers were the ones who were given the cell phones and the messages. So you're admitting that all you've done now is diverted the problem.
Transfer the problem.
Yeah. You transfer the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than putting that 3-tiered approach, where it is, I said, you had 3 tables: defense force, police, prison officers. So unless all 3 layers are all corrupt at the same time, it was impossible for anything to get in or get out. These persons started begging me as commissioner of police, please, we're begging him, we're going to stop sending messages, we want to get out, we can't handle building 13. That is how foolproof it was. So that was my style. Similar to that, when I got the 43 death threats, I didn't press the panic button. I said, well, come true. When I heard there was a $500,000 hit on me, I was disappointed it was only that amount. So you got to be prepared that you can't just be intelligent, you're going to get a threat, you're going to press a panic button. But if that was his decision, the state has no choice but to accept it. Because especially remember, when I was Minister of National Security, if Stephen Williams brought any nonsense to me, I would have been able to pick it up based on my law enforcement training. Minister Alexander, again, he was middle management with Rivera as it pertains. He didn't have any high position in the police service. So it is so sometimes that the minister might very well need to understand, listen, you're pressing this panic button and going too far. But the politicians cannot override. Imagine the politicians in this government decided to override the recommendation and something happened. All hell is going to break loose. That'll be a brutally shut down. The government will collapse if they had done that.
Well, the question begs, was the decision to stop the parade based on a security threat, that of the Commissioner of Police?
Well, it will be several. All they stated is intelligence agencies. So there's the SIU and the special branch from the police service. There's the Defense Force Intelligence Agency. There's the SSA. There's the National Security Council Secretariat. So there are a number of different intelligence agencies. Hence the reason why in the Commission of Inquiry into the attempted coup, the recommendation was made for a National Operations Center to have all of these agencies amalgamate and work together, because that is what caused the problem in 1990. Everyone had a piece of the puzzle. No one took it. If we put everything together, we would have known 48 hours in advance the time and the line of when it is they intended to hit Parliament on 1990. Thankfully, the PNM, foolishly I should say, shut down the NOC, put it under the SSA. There's been no synergy. So we have $500 million top of the line equipment and technology not being used for the last 10 years. And that is, so if it is that these agencies is just based on one unit getting a threat, and then we automatically press the panic button. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I think what is happening is that the country is not believing they're not buying into the reason why it is that the Independence Day has been shut down. And I'm just saying that based on your poll and based on what I'm seeing on social media. My personal view is I am not going to second guess the intelligence agencies. As somebody that was in law enforcement, if the intelligence agencies have made a recommendation, I would agree with the decision made by the government. But I think that what should happen is that you can't say too much. I think the commissioner, the last time, he gave too much information to justify the SOE. You have to be very careful not to say too much, whilst at the same time saying enough to let the public believe that this is not a charade, this is not something that is a cover-up. Because just at that quick point that you mentioned about being concerned that the Prime Minister is booed, all of these speculations will turn into reality if it is that you don't give proper information. I mean, had I been in her cabinet, that question will not arise, because I will automatically say, PM, you have 26 members of parliament. Each member of parliament brings 100. You bring 100 people. That's just 2 buses. 2,600 is over half of the stadium of the Savannah. Bring all the conch and the whistle and talk done. So I cannot see that being the reason, because you have 26 seats, 100 persons per seat. You bring them in and you take control of the Savannah if you want to. So I can't see that being the reason. My personal view, I can't see that these people saying, oh, she's afraid that she will get booed. You have 26 out of the 39 seats in Trinidad. So you have numerical superiority to bust in your supporters if you want.
Yeah.
But Gary, sorry, Wendell, but as he mentioned that, right? Because these things happen, and the public, we are never apprised as to what really caused it. Even after it's done and it's gone, we never hear about it and stuff. But with your experience and where you have sat before, and I mean, I know you would be looking at this thing a lot more critical than a lot of people. Do you believe that what we are seeing right now, that Trinidad and Tobago, we are really facing that level of threat as to where we are at right now? How comfortable are you, knowing all that you probably would know as to how real all of this is?
I am very comfortable and confident of the law enforcement agencies. I've been there in the Defense Force, working with the SSA, working with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The present Commissioner of Police, thankfully, the man is not anything like Old MacDonald or Earler or Stephen Williams that get up they get up to take a rest. The man is very proactive. He's very accessible. He seems to have an avenue of wanting to get there. He may not have the experience, so he will make certain mistakes. We all make mistakes. God knows I made mistakes as well. Like I always say, for example, you don't do a press release to make a recommendation to say you want to have a SOE without the government approving. That was wrong, but it happens. He was young when he dance. But I could assure you that the quality and the training of our units here, all that I find unfortunate is that if it is that we adhere to the recommendations of the attempted coup, these things will not happen. I'll give you a quick example. The recommendations made for a special elite, highly trained unit from different arms of the protective services. Patrick Manning did that when he called it the SAUTT. It was shut down. I then formed the National Security Special Operation Group as the Minister of National Security. Eddie Dillon and company shut it down. I then formed the Special Operation Response Team that put an end to kidnapping, home invasion, and terrorists and extortion. The Old MacDonald Jacob and company shut it down. And not one person's sort as ever is on any questionable activity. And that was a recommendation made. We do not have a unit like that. That unit is a unit that's supposed to put fear into the criminals, highly polygraphed, highly trained. The recommendation for the Commission of Inquiry into the coup also recommended to have a communication center to make sure that the country could get real-time information. You remember for months, gentlemen, after the coup, every Friday there was another coup coming and the country was in panic mode every Friday. And that was because of lack of communication. We formed the NOC. I did it similar to what is in the United Kingdom known as COBRA, COBR, the Cabinet Operation Briefing Room. I traveled to New York, met Mayor Rudy Giuliani, met Bernard Kerik, Bill Bratton, 3 or 4 different commissioners. They showed what they have after 9/11 to prepare because communication is critical. So that NOC has a Cabinet Operation Briefing Room. It has a media area. We're supposed to be pumping information to the public as much as possible in real time on a need-to-know basis. That is not there because of the foolish concept of taking the NOC and sticking it under the SSA. So if these things are done and the public gets real-time information, it won't turn to speculation about we have no money and she's afraid she gets booed. Thankfully, I heard the Prime Minister speak about having it moved, and hopefully it could be done sooner rather than later.
But Gary, we can't ignore the fact in the last government where the Prime Minister came to the country and when the issue with the SSA blew up and said that there was and this is my words, an attempt to overthrow a government, to replace a government. We can't ignore the fact that happened not too long ago.
Right, and we know when Gary brought that point, and that's a perfect example. When he made that statement, somebody gave him that on a piece of paper, because up to now, the Defense Force Intelligence, who I work closely, never had that information. The Special Branch didn't have that information. Somebody push a piece of paper in a Prime Minister's hand, and that is that banana republic concept. And it's not to blame Dr. Rowley. If he gets it, the man left with no choice. But this is what happened.
Was the former head of the SSA recently charged also to Gary?
No, it was thrown out. It was thrown out because it was...
No, I'm talking about very recently.
No, this is about 24 rounds of ammunition extra, which is a matter by itself because he's also a member of the Volunteer Defense Force, which gives them authorization. But all of the talk about Roger Best bringing in a weapon, and then we had a head of legal, I keep saying that, we have a head of the legal department of the police service who charged a police commissioner saying that she allowed somebody to have a sniper rifle for terrorists. And he's so dotish. He didn't realize that weapon is not a sniper weapon. Any civilian could get that weapon. This man arrested a commissioner of police, and he's still illegal. And the media attacks him on a regular basis. That is what they call banana republic. In any other developed country, this man would be removed from the legal department, but he still speaks and speaks on all these different shows. And that is my point. So you have a situation where wrong information is given. Dr. Rowley gets a piece of paper from a civilian and the man called it a secret report. And he took that and gave it to Blissy Prasad. This was not an official report from any arm of law enforcement. And the Prime Minister, poor fellow or poor lady, when it is you have people slipping pieces of paper to you, it's because you don't have a national operations center. You don't have a proper unit where information can be passed on. There was a document that came to the Prime Minister once on Faris Alwari, stating that the man involved in all types of corrupt activity and signed by Special Branch. And the Prime Minister was concerned. When I went and checked, it was a fake report with somebody who had access to a Special Branch letterhead. That is how this is.
I hear you. I'm glad you're raising these issues. Is it possible then that the same thing's happening now with
It's
with this
possible.
government?
Correct. It could be done deliberately to cause instability, to cause fear, to cause because they are aware that there's a very green security minister and commissioner of police, and they may err on the side of caution. All of these things can happen. If, however, you have a structured national operations center and you have all the intelligence coming into one area, and you take that now and you can market it and package it from pieces of the puzzle into seeing what is happening, it means that the Prime Minister, who's the chair of the National Security Council, can make an informed decision, and not somebody stick a piece of paper in your mailbox and they call it email gate and you go to Parliament, or you get a piece of paper from a man called Barrington and you say, hey, look, this is what happening, and you send that to Bliss Seapersat, littered with lies that cause the whole turnaround of the police service foolishly with no evidence, no witnesses, no data, no documents. Then you have a Minister of National Security lie to the country and say, no, the police involved in giving weapons to the wrong persons with no shred of evidence. And now in this situation as well, where it could very well be people just deliberately trying to be mischievous to destabilize the government, and the government is now forced to press the panic button because you have a commissioner who wants to err on the side of caution, and that is his style, and he may very well believe that that is the right thing to do. Mine is something totally different. I would have gone after it, and I'm not going to negotiate with criminals. I'm not going to cause criminal elements to cause us to throw in the towel. But at the same time, I'm not going to be reckless and put the lives of people at risk. But we honestly do not know how serious this situation is. And again, as I said, it could very well be a threat that they picked up, that there maybe, remember, the energy sector is something very volatile. If it is you put all your security and your resources in one area on Independence Day, it could very well be they have a threat that it could be something that they intend to have some degree of a terrorist plot out in other parts of Trinidad because of those areas now being weakened, because the majority of the security is in one isolated area. I'm not giving excuses for the government's justification, but I'm just giving examples of what could be in the hands of the Commissioner of Police and the Minister of Homeland Security.
Gary, I'm 1 minute. I'm happy that you raised that point, because that's what my next question was actually going to be. Because, we are looking at the national security and the intelligence, and then we're looking at government and reasons. But I don't think people are really looking at the capabilities and what the criminal element is able to do right now. I think that the criminal element is a more organized and probably better equipped criminal element than they were before. How would you speak to something like that?
Yeah. You're correct on that one. That one I have to kind of step back on, because this is exactly what happened in 1990. The then Prime Minister had a no-nonsense approach dealing with criminals and criminal activity. And that is why they pressured him to the point of forming an attempted coup. This is what happened. What we are hearing now, it is the first Prime Minister. I mean, you all know my song and dance and my ranting as dealing with live sport, Color Me Orange, Hoop of Life, CPEP, URP. And a previous Prime Minister fought battles with me and said, no, Gary, they have a right to apply. They are humans, they are people too. Well, I think that's questionable. When I just remember, I refer to them as cockroaches, and people are upset. A man rapes a child, and you are vexing me because I call that person a cockroach. No, and so if it is that this Prime Minister has made a very serious stance where she said we are not going to negotiate with criminals, we are not going to give them contracts, it could very well be that these individuals intend to retaliate in a very strong manner because they want to eat their food. And if that is the case, it could very well lead to some degree of unification among criminal elements. And look, if this government, if that is the road they're going down, because we have lived the life for the last 15 years of the live sport and the CPEP and the URP, and this Prime Minister is now going to shut us down, which thankfully should have been done years ago. This has been the avenue that allowed many gangs to build, to put hits on other gang members, get more sophisticated weapons, even more than the police, have profit that they could use to pay rogue police officers to cover their drug blocks, use police vehicles. This has been the catalyst that has caused crime to escalate since 2006, when our Prime Minister referred to them as community leaders. We lost the battle since then. If we are intent to draw the line in the sand now, as the Prime Minister has done, there's going to be some degree of retaliation. I mean, if that is the case, what we need to do is to neutralize them as quickly as possible.
But Gary, I mean, just building on that, it's almost like if we have given in to them, because if we could go to the extent that we cancel an Independence Day parade, And as I go back to some of the things you said, is it that what is the percentage of the armed forces that are actually on parade that day, as opposed to what's happening in other parts of the country with our security? Because I don't know that our security was ever compromised in this country for all the years that we've had Independence Day parade.
No, we haven't. But again, as I said, suppose there's some degree of a threat at the energy sector. If something happens in that energy sector, and again, there was something that we established, the Energy Sector Security Initiative, to deal with just that, for any natural or man-made disaster, to have an immediate operational plan. I had that, it was cancelled by the PNM. Had that remained, the Para disaster would not have taken place. You would have civilians twiddling their thumbs, wondering what to do, because you had experts that would have seen the situation and bam, come up with an operational plan. So there may very well be a situation like that. There's something volatile and there's a plan to. If you remember, there was this Die Hard 3 or something with Bruce Willis, and that's what they did. The criminals they went into one specific area on Wall Street and caused all the police to home in one area, and it caused the other areas to be weakened. And I'm not saying that is what is happening now, but it is quite possible, because we do not know. I think what is required is, again, if you have a proper communication unit in the government to explain to the country, there is something that we give you all the assurance this must be done to ensure the safety and security, not just of the dignitaries, but of Trinidad and Tobago, because there's a clear and present danger. However, we are on top of it. We need to have leaders with the ability to be calm, to be controlled, and to have that confidence that when you speak to the public, they're going to believe you, they're going to buy into it, whilst at the same time knowing it's a serious matter, but they're on top of it. So it's not going to put fear, whilst at the same time, it's not going to have people second guessing or that doesn't make any sense. So that is what I hope can take place. The National Operations Center and a communication platform will deal with that. But as I said, at this time, we do not know. We are second guessing, and second guessing is what has caused all the speculation of people saying that they don't have enough money. It's a waste of funds. We never wanted it in the food. We don't need it. She's afraid to get good. People are popping up with speculations without any justification whatsoever, and that window is being put because it's not being fed in a proper manner to show. Because I have seen it and I have picked it up, and I will automatically say to myself, it has to be done. It has to be shut down. But if this continues, the last thing I want is to have the National Stadium empty for that Trinidad and Tobago Curacao game, because I want us to beat them bad. We have to win that game, and they don't want an empty stadium. We need to clarify these things as quickly as possible, else it is going to continue going down the road that it's going to hurt Trinidad and Tobago's economy.
Yeah, because if the citizenry will naturally now be fearful of attending any public event then, if that's the case, that are less secured.
And that's where that degree of confidence, the public must be confident. But it can change, gentlemen. Remember, public trust and confidence now in the police is 8%. 3 years ago, it was 59%. And 3 years before that was 14%. So it's not to say that the country, they just flip whatever. It's an intelligent population. They see certain things to have, making sure that there's a measurement of performance, police or people are accountable, and they have the ability that when they speak, people are confident to know that what you're saying is truthful and you're on top of things. It makes me feel comfortable. No, I could play mass. I could go out with my children to the beach, and there's a very small possibility of something happening to me. That is what is required.
Two things. What do you think accounted for in the middle of a state of emergency, the Commissioner of Prisons being sent on extended leave, and the head of the army also being sent on leave, and that was rescinded? What do you think?
It goes right back, Wendell, to what I just spoke about, communication. The NOC that recommendation was made, lack of communication being given to the public and lack of communication between the intelligence agencies. All of these things, it allows speculation because it's unfair to even the individual, the commanding officer, because you're hearing about him going on leave, you're bringing him back. Is there political interference? Was a mistake made? And then you're throwing in 28,000 rounds missing. Is there a link between all of this? When it is that you don't give it proper information, it can cause many people to start speculating. The prison commissioner being sent on leave, is it because he was part of the all this bacchanal? Is it because he's incompetent? Is it just that he was tired and he isn't? You've got to give information. And if it is you don't have a proper communication strategic team pumping information in real time, it will cause speculation, and speculation is what is going to cause lack of confidence in the services. You're talking about the head of the army, you're talking about the head of the prison service, and people are speculating still because you don't know what's happening, because no one is saying anything. And it is not necessarily the heads of these units supposed to be doing it, Is that that NOC that has all the information pumped. The United Kingdom has it, the cabinet operations briefing room. I saw it. I saw exactly how it operated. That is what is required. So you can take it, assemble it, you give it to the prime minister. He or she will say, good to go. That if that is done, it will take away all of these rumors and speculations of she was afraid she get booed. This man was involved in corruption. This man was incompetent, and it is unfair to the individuals. And it also takes away the Barrington sending a piece of paper to Rowley to give to Bliss, and this thing dropping in our mailbox. And I mean, oh God, it has to stop. The Banana Republic type of thing. And imagine that thing of going back. This man writes a document as a civilian, gives it to Keith Rowley, and he calls it a secret report. Keith Rowley, as a prime minister, chair of a National Security Council, doesn't even know that a secret report is a degree of confidentiality and classification that can only come from intelligence agencies. It goes from restricted, confidential, secret, and top secret. A civilian with no position and no authority writes a document, gives it to you. It's like Sir Charles writes something and give it to Kamala, and Kamala calls it a secret document. How you could be a chair of the council and be so dotish, and you take that and turn President's house into a post office to give the Police Service Commission chairman, who then foolishly shuts down Americlis without the approval of the Police Service Commission. That kind of madness has to end, but it's because you don't have a communication platform to make sure proper information is fed to the right person.
Yeah, but Gary, at the end of the day, if nothing comes out of this, if we don't hear, because we haven't seen who the rocket launcher was, or we haven't seen the rocket yet, that was supposed to decimate the half of Parliament. We have heard that a threat was neutralized. We don't know neutralized in what way. I mean, it's just so much. I mean, it's just so much the country could take. If nothing comes out of this, what is going to happen with us?
It will cause more panic. It will affect the economy because it will affect investment, trade, tourism. It will cause persons to be fearful of going to any public place because you don't know what is going on. And anytime you have that void of proper information not being fed in real time, it will cause these things to take place. It will cause the Barringtons to give you a piece of paper and call it a secret report and set you up. It will cause somebody just to write a threat, and then all of a sudden you shut down the Independence Parade. So unless it is that you have this proper system with analysts, take it. And it is done all. I have seen it. I've traveled to dozens of different countries and seen how it is structured. We can't be going through the system where people are wondering and speculating what it is about, because people said, you said it was neutralized a few days ago. Somebody said, come forward and said, the problem was neutralized, but there's a new factor that has now come to our situation, and we ask the country, please understand, as much as we understand the importance of the Independence Parade, it is something very powerful to our and significant to our history. But this situation, nothing trumps national security. There's a clear and present danger, and we ask the country to understand it cannot take place at this time. Something with that degree of confidence, information fed, people will say, okay, nothing. And that is because not blaming the commissioner, not blaming the minister, not blaming the government, not blaming the police. There's a lack of communication strategy and a foundation in national security, and that is what is missing.
Yeah, because
before you go, because we are around time in a little bit, Wendell, if I may, I just want to go back to we played a video earlier on with a police officer asking or demanding of a lady to step out of her car, and a lot of people felt that it was kind of back and forth that the police officer acted irresponsibly. I personally was saying, if your police officer gives you an instruction, because we don't know what was happening, we only have that part of the video, comply, and then if there's anything, complain after. I don't know if you have seen it, but what would you advise, especially when we are in an SOE that you are stopped by the police? What is the citizens' right, and how should they deal with situations like that?
Well, you could comply and then complain. You're correct. Adhere to the directions of the police officer as much as you can, even if you believe that the officer is doing the wrong thing. But again, it goes back. Where was the individual a threat to the police officer that caused them to use his last option, which is a firearm? Where were the tasers that I provided for all police officers? Where was the pepper spray that I provided to all the police officers? Why was the body camera on this police officer not turned on when an SOP was put since I left? That all police officers on patrol operations warrants must turn on their body cameras. All of these things, if these things are done, it will minimize these problems from taking place. And therein lies the problem. Systems to make police officers accountable and to measure their performance 4 years ago that caused public confidence to be 59%. There's a reason now why it's less than 8%. And it's not a Guevara thing. The man now got it. But he inherited it.
You just cuss the whole police service when you call the word body cams then. You cuss the whole police service.
Well, but Wendell, I provided 1,000. I got 1,200 body cameras. And then Earl Christopher found some company that nobody has ever heard about at a cost of $25 million, where the companies that I got the 1,200 from were qualified companies involved in this for decades at 6,000 less. So you take that 6,000 and multiply by the 3,000, or it's almost $18 million extra the state has to pay. And that is a matter that should be thoroughly investigated. But there was no need to put an issued body camera to every police officer. When you give each police officer a body camera, how you checking to verify if it is that they're using it? What I have is that you're going to patrol a roadblock or operational warrant. As soon as you come back, we take it and we're going to test to see if you had it turned on. That is how you measure your performance. So 1,200 body cameras would be enough for every single police officer who's on a roadblock or patrol or so forth. They turned down the SOP and that. We gave tasers and pepper spray. The police officer, if the woman does not have a firearm and she is not listening to you, the taser and pepper spray is there as your second up. You go straight to a firearm. Did the woman have a weapon? Was she a threat to you that caused you to have to draw your firearm? And maybe it is, I'm not saying that, but we do not know because you don't have the body camera, which the SOP that you must have.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, we've reached 8 o'clock in a quick time, Gary. We may have to have you back because I suspect that this story of a threat and the cancellation of the parade is going to, how I should put it, develop over the next few days. So it may mean that we may have to have you back.
And and then we have CPL games coming up shortly. This has to be cleared as quickly as possible.
Yes. We have Pan on the Avenue on October 31st on Independence Day. A lot of people will be gathered on the Avenue for Pan. Is it that the officials under threat and not the public? We need to know.
Correct.
Because then I can't go and stand up to no politician again. Next time.
You should have never done that in the first place.
You're for this politician. Gary, thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Gary. Of course, that was former Minister of National Security, former Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith. Always had a lot to say, Lord. Sometimes can't keep up with Gary with these things he go back to over and over and over. I don't know how he remember them too, no? Oh, God. Anyway.
News, okay, we'll be back to put a cap on it.
Yeah.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio. I'm Derek. Finance Minister Devendranath Thakur says he will meet with the banking sector after Republic Bank announced another sharp cut to its US dollar credit card spending limit. From August 21st, the bank will reduce its maximum foreign spending limit per billing cycle by 50%, from US dollars $5,000 to $2,500. The restriction covers all overseas purchases and international online transactions, even when billed in TT. This is Republic Bank's third reduction since 2021, when the limit fell from $12,000 to $10,000, then to $5,000 in 2023. Other banks have also tightened spending. In November 2023, Scotiabank capped personal card limits at $2,000 and its Aero MasterCard Black at $5,000. Around the same time, RBC slashed limits from US $6,020 to $2,058. I don't want to comment on it yet. I am planning to meet with the banking sector to discuss the restrictions, Thakur said. President of the Fire Service Association, FSA Keon Guy, says there is a silver lining in the cancellation of this year's Independence Day parade and celebrations. Guy said while the fire service values engaging with the public, the parade puts a strain on its already limited resources. It allows us to keep all appliances at stations, ready to respond without compromise, he noted. He added that the service hopes to secure new fire appliances in the coming year, so the tradition can resume by 2026. The FSA has long complained about outdated equipment, with many trucks over 20 years old. Guy explained that the parade usually requires 125 to 150 officers, including male and female platoons, drivers, outriders, and the fire service band. Acting Chief Fire Officer Andy Hutchinson said the service accepts the government's decision, noting that funds will instead support essential needs. The traditional after-party will also be canceled. The Ministry of Homeland Security said the event was halted due to security concerns under the current state of emergency. The opposition is blasting government over the cancellation of this year's Independence Day parade. Opposition leader Penelope Beckles says citizens are bewildered by the decision, announced Friday, to scrap both the parade and national fireworks. Government cited security concerns under the state of emergency and financial considerations, instead planning a national day of prayer and reflection. Beckles called the cancellation an affront to independence and democracy, adding that the event is a source of national pride, especially for youth and the armed forces. She urged government to reconsider and explore scaled-down options instead of scrapping the celebration. Former ministers Amory Brown and Colin Imbert also criticized the move, calling it disappointing and unjustified. Senior counsel Larry Lalla questioned whether cost was really the reason, saying, "We need to dig deeper." The government, however, maintains that security advice guided its decision. Put down the illegal weapons. That's the warning from Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara following the killing of 2 bandits by a licensed firearm user in Santa Cruz on Friday morning. Reports say the 66-year-old firearm license holder shot and killed 1 bandit and his getaway driver Ant after they attempted to rob him of his vehicle. A 3rd suspect escaped. Guevara said the consequences of crime are grave and warned that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service will not relent in dismantling criminal networks. He also cautioned citizens to avoid spreading unverified information that could compromise the investigation. The commissioner reminded the public that every use of lethal force will be investigated with full transparency and urged criminals to surrender their weapons. He said a life of crime in Trinidad and Tobago is now a high-risk vocation, and it's better to hand in guns and become productive members of society. In some bizarre news, police are probing the death of a full-term baby boy born at the Center of Excellence on Saturday. Reports say a woman, who claimed she was unaware of her pregnancy, experienced severe pain and went to the bathroom, where security guards realized she was in labor. Her mother later took her to Mount Hope Women's Hospital with the newborn, but staff at the NICU found the baby unresponsive and declared him dead. Doctors noted the umbilical cord was around the baby's neck. The child weighed just over 3 kilos. Aruca police interviewed the mother, who said she had irregular menstrual cycles and didn't know she was pregnant. An autopsy will determine the cause of death. In international news, Special U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff said Sunday that Vladimir Putin agreed at his Alaska summit with President Donald Trump to let the U.S. and European allies offer Ukraine NATO-style security guarantees as part of a future peace deal. "We want a concession that the U.S. could offer Article 5-like protection," Witkoff told CNN, calling it game-changing. He added that Russia also pledged a legislative commitment not to seize more Ukrainian territory. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen welcomed the plan, saying a coalition of the willing was ready to share the burden. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked Washington, but said details remain unclear, stressing that guarantees must work in practice like NATO's Article 5. Witkoff said Trump shifted away from demanding an immediate ceasefire because of progress on broader peace terms. Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned Russia still faces consequences if a deal fails, but said sanctions now could hinder talks. Zelensky and European leaders meet Trump at the White House Monday to discuss next steps, including the unresolved issue of potential land swaps. And that's news at this time.
That was News Now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Charmflair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Devante tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Chamflair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Chamflair. We do it all.
Finally, a line of baking products that caters for the gluten-free, cholesterol-free, egg-free, and dairy-free person, enriched with sesame, flax meal, and chia seeds. Also try our line of seasonings and spices that are ideal for diabetic, kidney, heart, colon, and hypertensive persons. Perfect for the whole family. Healthy O, the healthier way to go. Find it in a supermarket near you.
S&H Rum Box, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rum Box, drinking out of the box.
Okay.
All right, we are back.
We are back.
And ready to close off. Thanks to Gary. I thought that was a good interview with Gary this morning. We got a lot out of him. I don't know. Trinidad is tiring me. Trinidad and Tobago, it's tiring. It's wearing me out. You know what I mean? It's just too much. It's just too much.
Age.
Yeah? No, Sir Charles. This is just when you thought we're going to get things right, up comes another set of nonsense. And I mean, is everybody on tenterhooks now? We have games coming up just now at the Brian Lara Stadium that's going to be sold out. CPL is a sold out event. You know what I mean? How is it country? We have a football match coming up soon. We have Pan on the Avenue. We have so many different events that help people relax. Just go and relax. I went cricket the other day in the stadium. I mean, for the West Indies Pakistan game. If you know the atmosphere, everybody, and they just relax. People drinking, they eating, they buying from the vendors. I mean, they're just having a good time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Cooler. That is what does make all the difference to people.
And a set of people with families, young children, young boys, young girls, and all of them buying this noisy vuvuzela. I wish you could ban that. But anyway, everybody blowing it. It have two children sit down in front of me, They blow that thing from the start of that match to the end, I don't know where they get that energy from it. But all of these things help people relax. And we just can't relax with all what we're hearing and all what we're seeing in Trinidad and Tobago. It's just tiring.
Well, I can understand why you would feel that way because, being in the media, being in news and everything, watching it, it is since, I would say, the turn of the 2000s, I've been noticing Trinidad and Tobago has not been quiet.
No, you're right.
It's one thing from the next, if we look from even our crime and criminality, how it's been escalating from since then coming up the road. So yeah, we have not had a rest period.
You know what incident happened over the weekend and we didn't even talk about it? This guy, apparently he had an argument over somebody by a doubles vendor over a parking spot. And he took out his gun because he felt under threat. He was a prison officer, I think. He took out his gun and Lego bullet. You know, one of the bullets killed his mother?
Killed his mom, yeah.
Allegedly?
Yeah,
you know how that man will feel after today, such as his life will never be the same again.
Yeah. But it does goes to show too, But I said, when we have more time tomorrow, we could probably raise it because apparently the men were beating him and stabbing him up on all kinds of things before he reached to the point of pulling out the gun.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was apparently an altercation. Well, we going based on reports over a parking spot.
Well, and
he had no choice but to resort to his firearm. And he stood his ground and he emptied the clip. But he emptied part of the clip empty on his mother.
Yeah.
There was a similar incident not the other day again when a man killed his wife too, not so? Just the other day?
I can't show but the other one.
Just the other day, a man killed his wife, same way.
Just before we go, because at that point, just want to let people know that the funeral service for Sunshine, which is one of our listeners from here on net and going back to Power Weather too, coming out of the COVID days, it will be at 2 p.m. today at the Allen's Funeral Home. That's in Susano Street in Arima from 2 p.m., right? So just to let you know that, condolences to her family, and we all God's grace and guidance as we go forward.
Yeah. Condolences also again to the family of Jared Weeks. Folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember, you've got one life. Live it.
And of course, stay on the stream. Remember, New Era TTRadio.com. We stream all day, every day. And you can also get us on New Era TT Radio on TuneIn, and you'll be able to get us on your Alexa and all of your Google devices. So all the people on YouTube, of course, remember our YouTube engagements continues at 4 p.m. inside of the Drive Time Exchange. We have Tony Fraser Monday and Tuesday, and Andy Johnson on Wednesday and Thursday. So much things are happening. Stay with us here on New Era TT Radio. All right. So this has been
The Breakfast Show. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show got the vibes turned